solo. Karibuni sana to Village Chats. This is the Journey Village Kikuyu. We are a church that exists to invite people to live the way of Christ. And today I am joined by
Nash Warogoro,
Who is our lead pastor, and Muthoni,
who is my wife.
who is Nash's wife, but she's part of the
Family gathering here.
We are having a family gathering. She's part of the leadership here at the Journey Village Kikuyu. Yeah. And we want to recap the conversation from last Sunday. We were talking about a resurrection hope, this hope that comes as a result of resurrection. All around us right now, there is a lot of suffering. There seems to be a lot of suffering. People are sick from COVID-19. People are dying. Our friends, parents are dying from COVID-19. People are suffering financially. There's this economic crash that is, it's already here, but it's projected to even be worse as we keep going. And so talking about hope seems to be really out there. So I wanted us to talk about what hope might look like for our people who are following Jesus. What would hope look like for us in this season where we have all the reasons not to hope? So start with you, Muthoni.
Okay, thank you, Agnes. I think, well, for me, it's I guess the darkness of the time in this third wave has just really been, oh my gosh, it's here. You know, like, I think the first and the second wave, at least in Kenya, you know, it was out there. But once people begin to call you and say, my sibling, my mother, my father, once you get calls of people being in hospital, people being on oxygen, then it just becomes that much more real. You know, it's a whole thing in that sense. But I think for me, hope is, and I say that as a person who likes fun, who likes to, like, where hope is always external. I think that hope, and I guess that alluding to what Nash was talking about, is flickers, the flickers of light, the flickers of things that happen that you're just like, in the darkness, I can still take the time to be still and appreciate the small things that are happening around me. I think one of the examples has just been like putting the kids to bed, or just like that bedtime routine, where, you know, like Nash and I will sit down. Well, okay, most of the times it's me, but anyway, it's okay. I'll make you look good.
Thank you.
But, you know, like when we sit down to feed the kids, get into the rush of bedtime routine, but it's in the banter, it's in the rudo eat, we laugh, we feed, we do bedtime, we sing songs, whatever it takes. Those little moments, I think, are moments of hope for days. First of all, the kids themselves. I know we always say, like, children are the hope for the future. But really, it's true. Like, I think in these moments, like, as a parent, I live for that. Like, I live for these little kids to be able to grow up and be something. I live for them to have joy. I live for them to know what is greater, to know what their potential is, you know. And I think it's those little things, those little flickers that we can hold on to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you've said that it seems like there's this darkness, but within that darkness there's flickers, you know, there's flickers of hope. And I guess from that it's almost like you need to look. You need to be seeking it. Like where could hope be found in the midst of this big, massive move of darkness? And from the sermon, there was this little thing about the veil, which was big. So I was wondering, Nash, if you could, you know, take us through a bit of that. Like, if we compare our times to that time when Jesus was about to be crucified and there was all these things happening, it's a bit dramatic. But then there's this thing about the veil that you talked about. Could you talk about that and how that can now that might look like for us in this season, how that might be applicable, or how we can, extrapolate it to our situation now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I honestly, I was wrestling with this whole idea of hope as the thing that gives us energy to sort of get out of bed in the morning, kind of a thing. And I was just thinking, in these moments, when all like the things that we go after, like the ambitions, the things that get us getting going, just can sometimes just be crushed by something as little as a presidential announcements on a Friday evening, and we just, I mean, like this community for me has been so central to meaning in life in that sense. And then just getting excited about it, and then all of a sudden, like this Friday evening, we can no longer have gatherings, and like then the next thing, literally, it's like the announcement is on Friday, and then on Saturday, I think Rudo had like this code or something like that. But then somehow it gets to Modoni on Saturday, and it's like really dire for this brilliant woman who never slows down, is like in bed on a Saturday afternoon covered in buckets. And I'm just like, I can't have it anymore. Not only do we not have church, but I can't even communicate with my people because my wife is in bed, And then that following week, I also got my turn of being in bed. And sort of a sudden, just like, the things that externally was moving me, like this has been sort of blacked out. And so for me personally, it wasn't just like a sermon for the people out there. It was for me personally grappling with, where do I find hope that carries me forward even in moments like this, And then I started thinking about the idea, of course, unfortunately we have Easter again in a lockdown. And I've just been trying to draw threads around, what Easter was, which was like a big bash for us. Like we take a holiday, we host to
Long
coast.
weekend.
We guys are planning to go to Odaya, just be out of the city, kind of. So it tends to be this celebration, and there's a bit of that. But the deeper thing is, the more we celebrate, the more we feel removed from like the very dark moment that Easter was to the tribe of Jesus, but also to the tribe of all the people, the Jewish people around it, And so just revisiting there to go, like, what was giving these guys a sense of like, there is still glimpse of flickers of hope, And that is where we bump into that literally, like, the three gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, it's nothing more than a line, of the many things that happen. And the temple veil was torn from top to bottom. And like, oh my God, but like in that one line, it's like representing like the shifting of the way the Jewish people worshipped. Like it was, everything revolved around this temple, and then within the temple it revolved around this sacred place where God was. And then in this like moment of Jesus like breathing his last, it's completely done away with, And like, it's more than a flicker, but I guess it takes a lot of work for then the people who live 2,000 years removed from that community sort of reclaim what that moment might have been, And so the wrestling for me has been that like literally in these times, as you describe them, I don't think that hope comes externally. It has to be in the very little mundane ways, but I think ultimately it has to be grounded in a God who wasn't content being limited to a physical space called the Holy of Holies, in a particular place called a temple, in a particular location called Jerusalem, but rather the God who just like is not content to just sit there, wait for us to show up, but just like, come as you are here and now. I'm not even going to wait for you to show up here. I'm going to come where you are, so that like your place wherever you are can be the Holy of Holies. And that's not even enough. I don't even want, before you even turn the places you are into Holy of Holies, I want to just be like me and Tandiwa crying and me rushing into his bedroom. I want you to know, like, I'm not even waiting for you to turn the place into sacred ground. I'm like literally here. It's like, are you going to wake up and notice that you are not alone? And that was ringing true for me, whether you are not alone, whether you are a person under oxygen, or at least a family members trying to scramble to look for a hospital bed for a sick one, or you are not alone if you have lost someone and you can't even have people around you to comfort you. You are not alone if your job is literally on the line. You're not alone if, I don't know why for me that became hope, being this sense of, you know what, it may be dark, but I haven't been abandoned. You know, I haven't been abandoned. And so I guess that's the sort of what was going on through my mind.
I like that. So then this veil tearing then becomes this way for us to both access God, but also for God to access us. It's like there's no more restriction. There's no more, you know, controlled spaces. Because you talked about, you know, the inner holiest place where God was found, and then there's the outer ways, like it's holy but kinda.
Yeah, it's like
kinda
holy-ish.
But then there's the place where, you know, God is found, and then this veil tears, and it's very significant. It's a line, but it's so significant to how then now God becomes really, truly omnipresent with us. Like God truly becomes present with us through and through and through. And so I wonder if this next part we could talk about the ways in which the veils that might exist now, the things that might stop us from knowing from a deep place that, you know, God is indeed with us, that there's no veil, that there's no, you know, there's no exclusive club of people that get to have access to the good stuff. And yeah, indeed, how really do we get to live that out? Like, I am here, I am struggling, I'm in the darkest of seasons, but how do I get to, you know, start to cultivate the knowing that, you know, God is with me. The Holy of Holies is here right now, and I'm being carried. I guess,
the phrase in my head, I don't know if it's a book, but anyway, just that phrase, practicing the presence of God, which I think is a fascinating thing. Just in reference to, so the veil now is torn. Just reading the script. The scripture was Matthew 27, you know, and at the end of that, the centurion saying, surely he was the Son of God. How, like, the Son of God is here, like he's right under our noses, but it takes this dramatic thing to happen for us to be like, Haya, kumbe, he was the Son of God, like he's been here, but just another quote that I really, really like, that is all over the place. The one for earth is crammed with heaven. And you know, you have every common bush that is afire with God, but only he who sees will take off his shoes. And I think it does take a daily practice to be able to recognize the presence. I mean, just in relation to what I was talking about with the mundane, you know, like it's so easy for me to say, oh my gosh, it's bedtime routine. Oh my gosh, it's all these things like we need to rush, get the children in bed. But then when I do that, when that is my mindset, then I get, then that passes me, you know, like I don't actually get to enjoy this moment with the kids. I don't get to laugh with the silly things that they are doing because I'm just busy thinking. I'm in that headspace. But then, but I think if I learn to cultivate that, if I learn to practice God's presence, I mean, I don't know, quietness, nature, just like seeing people, seeing the person beyond the person, you know, like sitting with people and just really seeing them as an image bearer of God. I think then that will help me realize, like, it will help that veil, you know, to be torn. But yeah, it's true. I think it is a daily thing, and it's difficult to do because it's so easy to just get caught up in the rush. But yes, I do think it's a daily practice. Yeah.
So practicing the presence and bringing to your awareness moments that you might be being drawn to beauty, that you might not, that might pass you if you are not paying attention. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like I go through life with a particular group of people in mind, you know, like those of us who for whom like this thing called Christianity, spirituality, church, it's something that we sort of look from a distance, you know. I mean, we have our reasons, whether it's been we've been hurt or whatever it is. But also that you know, life also itself is chock filled with distractions, you know. I mean, from just like even if you're working way longer with now having to work from home. I mean, like social media, all these things that just have a way of constantly amplifying the negative in our world, in our lives, you know. And I just have this idea that it's just so easy to give over to that, even and it causes us more anxiety, literally. But it just feels like doom scrolling kind of a thing, you know. And it's I think for me, my heart really is for especially those of us who choose to rely on like our parents, our aunts' prayers, you know, to be the people who then say, you know what, I mean, God is not just present to them, and their faith is just not some form of naivety that in spite of our doubts, in spite of our hearts, in spite of our wounding, that literally it should give us this joy that God has even left the spaces that we want to connect to the wounding and hurting in our lives, you know. So I think the only thing I guess I want to add with Mudhoni is like practicing presence, and also for me it's also the idea of cultivating presence, because I think for a lot of us it's and I guess that both practicing and cultivating is where the work is, you know. Whereas I think that and it's work because the veils are like so real, and especially now that they come from us, right? Like it's a whole other thing when it's like the veil is in the temple, you know. I think when the veils are then our own projection, you know, our own reasoning, our own social media, on all these different things, you know, then it has to be us now removing the veils on ourselves, sort of wake up, you know. So the work of practicing and cultivating, which then for me, in the deepest of my hearts, I hope leads to a waking up, like Mudhoni has said, that, oh my God, like God is present in trying to put these two retro exhausted kids in bed. You know, like a thing that should be just frustrating can turn into a sacred moment and a sacred time, you know. And I guess for us as our children, I guess everyone gets to have their thing, you know. And I guess that's a joy for me. So what is the thing within your world that can be an invitation to start the cultivating, the practicing of that presence, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys for sharing. I mean, I think, as Mudhoni mentioned, different people get to have this experience through different things. So for people in a season of parenting, it might be your kids. For other people, it might be, you know, music, this song that just gets you in a place where you're reminded, oh, look, there's art. Creation, the process of creation, doing work, acknowledging that we are actually blessed to have an income in such a season. Like, what moments are those that you're reminded that it's not all, you know, doom and gloom. There's still flickers of hope. And I guess as we conclude, I guess I'd invite us to, you know, you can let us know in the comment box what are the ways in which you are reminded and you're invited to presence, to either practice or to keep cultivating a certain kind of practice, because all of this, the walk of faith is about practice. It's not just, you know, we don't just say beliefs. We don't just, you know. We also want the work of Christ to have a real impact in how we live our lives every single day, so that at the end of the day we really can be the salt and light. And so in what ways are you being invited to practice and cultivate presence in your own life today? And that's it for our conversation today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in our next Village Chats. Leave a comment down below. You can like our page, and this is the Journey Village, and it's been nice having you guys.
Welcome to our
It's
channel.
nice to be here.
Thank you.